You ever read something that has you on the edge of your seat, just completely terrified, and then a second later you're laughing out loud? Well, today we're going to break down Vaikom Muhammad Bashir's masterpiece, The Snake and the Mirror. It's a story that does exactly that. It uses humor to stare right into the face of fear. So how on earth does he pull it off? Let's get into it. So the story just yanks us right in, no messing around, with this one single terrifying question. Our narrator, a homeopath doctor, asks this, and you can just imagine the room going silent. It immediately gets our complete and total attention. You can't help but lean in, right? You just have to know the story that's about to follow. Okay, so before we get to the whole Cobra situation, we gotta meet our main guy. This first part of the story is all about setting the scene and showing us the hilarious, massive gap between who this doctor actually is and who he thinks he is. Yeah, his actual life? It's not so glamorous. He's a young doctor just starting out, and his earnings are, as he puts it, meager. He's living in this small, rundown room with no electricity, and he shares it with what he calls a regular traffic of rats. So yeah, he's got roommates. And his whole wardrobe is basically just one single black coat.
But here's the kicker. Despite all that, this guy's ego, it is absolutely through the roof. He sees himself as this handsome, super eligible bachelor and, of course, a respected doctor. This right here, this quote, is the key to all the humor in the story. This deep, deep vanity that just does not match his reality at all.
So he's sitting there, in front of a big mirror, making what he calls these huge, earth-shaking decisions. And what are they? To shave every day, grow a thin mustache, and always keep an attractive smile plastered on his face. I mean, for a guy with big dreams, his plans are pretty specific. All right, so as our doctor is just completely lost in his own little world, the story starts to sneak in this feeling of unease, you know? Something is about to crash his little self-admiration party. So all while he's admiring himself, there's this noise, a sound from the ceiling that just keeps happening. He just brushes it off, thinks it's the rats, nothing new. But the author keeps bringing it up again and again. It's like this little drumbeat of doom in the background, building the tension while our hero has no clue what's coming. And his vanity, oh man, it doesn't just stop with him. Nope, he's got a whole checklist for his future wife. She's got to be a doctor, have tons of money, but the most important thing, she must be fat. And why? Well, you know, for a totally practical reason, so she can't chase him down if he makes a mistake. I mean, come on, that's just gold.
And right when he's deep in these, let's be honest, ridiculous thoughts, that noise from the ceiling finally makes its grand entrance. It's not a rat, just a dull thud, and bam, a cobra is on his shoulder. Just like that. All the comedy just vanishes.
And that brings us right to the heart-stopping climax of the story. This is it, the moment where the doctor's massive ego runs headfirst into a wall of pure mortal terror. He doesn't jump, he doesn't even tremble, he's just frozen. Turned to stone. The snake coils around his left arm, and he says its crushing weight felt like a rod made of molten fire. He can't do a single thing but sit there. He calls himself a stone image in the flesh, and you can just picture it, right? The cobra's hood is spread wide. Its head is just inches from his face, ready to strike if he makes the slightest move. The situation is about as bad as it can get. And in that single moment, his entire self-image just shatters. All that stuff about being handsome and important, gone, wiped away. He's hit with this brutal reality. He has no medicine, no plan. He is helpless. He's just a poor, foolish, and stupid doctor. And then, and this is maybe the most brilliant, ironic moment in the whole story, what does he do? He catches his own reflection in the mirror and manages this weak, pathetic little smile. Even with death 4 inches away, his last thought is somehow still about his own appearance. He even says it seemed like God appreciated that little detail. But wait, because this is where the story pulls its most amazing trick. That very thing that got him into this mess, his vanity, is about to be the one thing that saves him. So maybe it's that lid's smile that catches its eye, but the snake turns its head. And what does it see? The exact same thing our doctor was so obsessed with just a few minutes ago, that big mirror on the table. And the snake is totally captivated by its own reflection. And that is his opening, his one chance.
While the cobra is just completely mesmerized by how good-looking it is, it starts to slowly, carefully unwind itself from his arm. And our doctor, who's no longer a stone statue but a man of flesh and blood, just holds his breath, waiting for the moment to bolt.
And you know what's incredible? Even in this moment, as he's about to run for his life, his sense of humor comes right back. He starts wondering if the snake is now thinking about the same earth-shaking things he was. Like, should it grow a mustache? Maybe try some mascara? He's literally projecting his own vanity onto the creature that was about to kill him.
So the story wraps up this totally bizarre encounter with a couple of just perfect, ironic punchlines that tie everything together.
So, he survives the cobra, right? But he comes back the next morning to a whole new problem. A thief has robbed him blind. Everything is gone. But, in what has to be the most hilarious insult of all time, the thief left one thing behind: his not-so-white vest. The doctor's conclusion? Even the burglar had a sense of cleanliness.
And what about all those big plans for his married life? Well, life, as it does, had a laugh at his expense. He's asked later if he ended up marrying that fat, rich woman he dreamed of. His answer? No. He got a thin wife who, you guessed it, has the gift of a sprinter.
So, whatever happened to the snake? Well, the doctor never saw it again. And his final thought about his strange savior really sums up the entire story. In the end, it wasn't his smarts or his strength that saved him. It was a simple, universal weakness that he shared with a deadly cobra. It was a snake that was, quite simply, taken with its own beauty.